afternoon and welcome into another episode of the Buccaneers Coaches Show. I'm your host, Brandon Genson. Softball got things started last week, splitting a 4-game series with Simpson, handing the Red Hawks their first 2 conference losses of the season.
Kylie Saunders had a complete Game 2 run performance in Game 1, but she suffered a hard luck loss as the Buccaneers struggled to buy a hit. The hitting struggles carried over into Game 2, but in Game 3, Saunders threw another complete game and held the Red Hawks to just 4 hits and 1 run. Destiny Alvarez, Michelle De Nicola, and Danae Villarreal all had multi-hit games en route to a 5-1 Bucs victory. In Game 4, it was Gabby Valley who put on a lights-out pitching performance. She threw a complete game of her own, shutting out the Red Hawks and striking out 6.
To put into perspective just how good Saunders and Valley were, they held the Red Hawks to 2 or fewer runs 3 times. Before last weekend's series, only once did a conference opponent hold Simpson to 2 or fewer runs. That means softball will finish the season 8-8. Baseball also wrapped up their season last week with a 4-game series against Benedictine Mesa, and while the Red Hawks took 3 of the games, there were a lot of other reasons for the Buccaneers to celebrate.
Park University Gilbert recognized all of their graduating seniors before Friday night's game at Scottsdale Stadium, but the Red Hawks spoiled the evening by taking Game 1. The Buccaneers were led in their lone win by Frank Rochapo, who showed he can get it done on the mound and at the plate. He tripled and had the first multi-homer game in Bucs history en route to a 12-6 Buccaneers win. That win also marked head coach Kelly Stinnett's 100th win as a college coach.
The Buccaneers finished the season 13-13 and 10-5 in conference play. After their weekend series, I had a chance to talk with head softball coach Karin Gadberry and head baseball coach Kelly Stinnett to recap their seasons. All right, coach, so you just wrapped up your season on Wednesday against Simpson, and I think going into that series, you knew Simpson was a very good team, and I don't think you were too happy with how you guys played against La Sierra, but you guys made a lot of adjustments. So what kind of adjustments were made so you could pull off that split?
I don't know if it's so much that we were unhappy about La Sierra. I think it was more that, I think we expected to come out and dominate that series a little bit more. And, La Sierra did a really good job of keeping us off base in terms of offensively. And, to get ourselves geared up for Simpson, who was receiving votes, for top 25 and having one of the best pitchers in the conference, which I think really did actually help us to speed up the pitching situation and helped us out offensively. Simpson is a very solid team, and there's a reason why they were receiving the votes. But for us to come out, we had a really good game plan, obviously, to take the 2 games, and we were the only ones to take 2 from Simpson for conference for the CalPAC. But I think more importantly, we finished on a really good note to get those 2 wins and to carry us into next season.
Yeah, so what does it, like, finishing on that good note do? Like you said, you were the only team in conference to hand Simpson a loss. So what does that do for the confidence and just the appearance of the program now that we're going to be postseason eligible next year?
So, with COVID, it was a little bit strange how our season, we started early with Benedictine, and then we had this long break, and we went out to California to play against St. Cat's, and then we had this short series against La Sierra, and then following into Simpson. And, as our momentum began to carry, and we only got 16 games in, which is, not even anywhere close to having a full season, it does allow us to be able to take that momentum, take it into next year. We are going to be postseason eligible next year. Obviously, there will be, Embry-Riddle and Westcliff jumping back into the conference, as well as Antelope Valley. So it'll make things definitely a lot more interesting. And plus, we'll open back up again with the Sterling Softball Scramble Tournament. So we already have teams that are looking to come in and play in that. And so leading into next year to put us into a full season, we are going to be able to be prepared that we have seen a few of the teams in the conference, and we can go out there and we can be successful and go in with a game plan knowing, hey, we are going to be able to pitch a little bit, we're going to be able to play some defense, and we're going to be able to get out there and hit with the best of them.
Yeah, and your pitchers this year, I think at times were really winning you games between Gabby, Kylie, Jessica, and Aubrey. Sometimes they were just outstanding. So what did you see out of them this year?
So I think, not to take away from the pitching solely just from those individual pitchers, but I think if we look at it from a whole and my pitching staff, and that includes the catchers, we couldn't have been successful without Anna on the team to get our pitchers warm during the games, to help with that in game. There's a lot of things that are lost with someone who's doesn't necessarily get out there onto the field. And then you take someone like Courtney, who could be able to go back there and catch a little bit and be on the same page with our pitching staff, as well as then Ray, who did the majority of the catching and really anchored down that pitching staff. From that aspect, I don't micromanage the pitchers and catchers. We go in with a game plan, and I allow the pitchers and catchers to work together so that we can put our defense in a position and we can all be on the same page, which leads then into the success that Jessica and Aubrey and Kylie and Gabby all had, that everybody all seemed to be on the same page, and that each weekend was somebody's different weekend. We walked out there, we saw Jessica be successful against Ben U. We had a combined effort, with at St. Cat's, and then we had the combined effort against La Sierra. And then we walk into the weekend against Simpson, and then Kylie had the good weekend against Simpson, and Gabby was solid all the way through. And then with Aubrey being a freshman, I think it's always about putting that person out there so that they can be successful versus just throwing them out there and say, here you go, here's the ball. It was about bringing her along so that then she could walk out there and get pitcher of the week and dominate when she was ready to do so.
Yeah, you talked about just the importance of having someone who's on the same page behind the plate. And I wanted to talk about Courtney Beckwith a little, because she was able to take on that responsibility, but she was also able to play out in the field, and then she was batting all over the order. How important was it just to have someone that flexible on your team?
That is one of the name of the games of being successful in small college athletics and softball, and you have to be able to have those people who could go out there and play a left field or a right field or be a designated player or catch behind the plate. And we have several people that are like Courtney that can do that, and Courtney really stepped up and was able to fill a lot of different voids depending on who we were playing against, and going into a series looking at what is it going to take to be successful playing against that opponent. And Courtney was able to jump into the top of the lineup and add some speed at the top, or then finish at the end of the lineup so that then we could jumpstart us back to the top of the lineup. So I think that was really, really crucial. And then when it came down to we needed to give Ray a rest behind the plate, she could jump in, and she was already in tune with the pitchers and could walk out there, and the pitchers felt comfortable with her, and we could all be on the same page. And so, I can't talk enough greatness about how when you are selfless like that how our team then becomes a team and we can be successful as a team.
Yeah, and I know you kind of touched on it a minute ago, but this is probably the last time we'll have you on the coaches show. So what are you kind of expecting out of this offseason? I know you got some signees already that you're excited about. So what do you want to talk about? What should we know heading into the offseason here?
We have had some really good impact players that are going to come in and maybe vie for those starting positions. I think the great part about this is we start all the way back over. There are no positions that are guaranteed on the field. Everybody's going to walk out there in September and October, and they're going to have to earn their spots. And whether you were all conference this year or you weren't on all conference, or you're brand new to the program, whether you're a transfer or a freshman, everybody's going to walk out there and earn their spot on the team and earn that starting spot. And so I think that with that type of competitiveness that's going to come in, we have probably 10 new players that are going to come in and join the squad. We obviously lost 3 people to graduation, and COVID has changed things a little bit as to giving people extra years of eligibility, and I think academics will come into play as to whether someone stays one extra year or do they not stay at all. And so I don't necessarily have the answers to those ramifications that come through, but I think we have a solid group that's returning back, and that with the addition of some of our new transfers that will come in, and then some new young freshmen that will come in, I think that the sky's the limit for us, and we should totally be able to go out there. I have full confidence in us to go out there and compete in the CalPAC, and whether from a postseason opportunity, but also bringing in high quality talent to get us ready for that. And that's what the Sterling tournament is all about, for us to bring in those teams so that when it comes down to the end, we're ready to go and be successful.
So we haven't had a chance to talk about the series before the one we just wrapped up here in the St. Cat series. I know that puts a little bit of a smile on your face. You guys were putting up runs like crazy on a really good baseball team. So what was clicking in that series?
The boys were ready. I mean, they swung it. We played a little bit in a smaller ballpark, which always helps. The dimensions were short, but we took advantage of it. Just like they were early in the year, and we kept them from, scoring those big, have those big innings. We had that one bad inning in the second game where we kind of got walked off, but besides that, our pitching were great. Everybody threw the ball well, played really good defense, and situational hitting was huge for us that weekend.
Yeah, and we know this team can hit. One guy I think that surprised us with just how well he can hit is Frank Rochapo. I mean, he was getting it done on the mound, but he was getting it done at the plate as well. He hit 2 homers yesterday, first multi-homer game ever by a buck and a triple. So what's been working for him?
We're just running out of bodies, trying to get guys to give us competitive at-bats. And, Frank did it a couple times last year where he hit the ball hard, but he didn't have nothing to show for it. So I just said, hey, trying to get another left-handed pitcher in the lineup. Oh, thank you. Getting another left-handed hitter in the lineup always helps, especially their right-handed dominant, especially all their starters. So, I just kind of flipped a coin, and it worked out for us yesterday.
Yeah, it's worked out for Frank. And then one guy I haven't had a chance to mention at all is Diego Bustillos. I mean, he's just been solid closing for you all year. How important has that been?
Well, it gives you that kind of I always call them like my old pair of sneakers. You know they're going to fit. They're always going to be there. He helps close out games for us, and it's nice to have that in the bullpen. And we're hoping to have a couple more of those type guys next year where we can get our starters through 5 or 6, and we can rely on a couple of relievers like that. And we're going to toy with maybe making him a starter next year. We're going to sit down and talk with these guys this next week, other exit meetings, and kind of figure that out. But I think Diego may help us more on the front end next year. Depends on what we get recruiting wise, but that's kind of up in the air. But he did a great job at the tail end this year.
Yeah, and we know we just wrapped up our last game here, but I think there was a lot of improvement from last season. You're going to end the season here 500, really solid conference record. I know you didn't get to see everyone in conference, but what can you say about how this team performed this year and just took that next step?
Well, with all the battles with COVID and our social distancing and our pods and limited facilities that we're working on, school's doing a great job with that. I'm really proud of the boys. Everybody showed up, ready to go every day. Didn't have to get on them too much this year. We're not in the shape we want to be just because of everything going on, but next year we're going to come back. I told them, bust your tail this summer, get in shape, and then we're going to make a statement next year. That's what we're striving to do is win our conference. We're going to travel to Oklahoma City next year to play 2 or 3 top 10 teams, and we're going to try to put our names on the map right away.
Yeah, and we just saw that just got handed to you. You had your 100th career win as a collegiate head coach against Benedictine on Saturday. How good does that feel? What does that mean to you?
Well, I was hoping to go Friday night, but it was good. I've still got quite a few guys on that I've recruited over there at Benedictine, and obviously they're pretty good. They kicked our tails a lot this year. It's special. It's the hours we put in. It's the hours that my family stood by my side while I'm out here working with these guys. So get a little emotional, but that's been my life. I'm a baseball guy, 24/7.
The final 9 Sidewinder Subs Player of the Game awards were handed out last week. Congrats to the... We have just one event left on the season, and it's a big one. Beach volleyball is headed to Chula Vista for the CalPAC tournament. They will be the number 2 seed and play Benedictine Mesa in the first round. That tournament will take place on May 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's it for this week's episode of the Buccaneers Coaches Show. We'll have one more episode next Tuesday.